What's your favourite milk-based pudding?
I'm getting quite overwhelmed just thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm in the process at the moment of changing what I do.
Sheena Easton singing For Your Eyes Only.
Melancholic.
And
no. Hello and welcome to Magic Rabbits,
a podcast exploring the outermost edges of the music business that never was.
Celebrating the masses who never quite made Glastonbury but had the best of times on the journey.
Here's to every one of us.
Hello, welcome to Magic Rabbits with me, Tim Riley, and...
me, Damian Scott.
Hello, Damian.
Hello, Tim. It's great to be here again in your lovely studio.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of this one, we're going to be slotting in the song called Before You Fell, which is a fairly new project for us in lots of ways, because it's not like it was from a band or anything, from one of our pop groups that we were in. It came out of nowhere, really. Do you want to say?
Yeah, we were in my studio about 8 years ago, and we'd set ourselves this kind of it's 8 years ago now. We set ourselves this silly, fun project. We were writing all kinds of songs. And then one day, I think one of us said, "Hey, wouldn't it be fun to write a James Bond theme tune?" As if we'd been asked. Could happen.
Yeah. Who's that on the phone? It's Barbara Broccoli.
Yeah. And she wants a tune by Friday. And so we wrote a song, and we did. We kind of had fun writing a song called Better Day that we thought sounded like it could be a James Bond theme tune, kind of just for fun. And it was great. We really enjoyed the process of writing and recording it together. I wrote the lyrics, you wrote the melody and the music. But at the end of that session, you sat down. It was late in the day or something. You sat down and started playing the piano, and I think something you'd had in your head, and you played a chord progression on the piano, just kind of a short progression, just 8 bars or something. And we pressed record because we liked it, and we just pressed record, and I recorded it on my system, and that night I think I just thought, you know what, I want to finish that off. And you'd gone home, and I went into my studio, and I think I spent the entire night in the studio just playing around with this looped kind of piano thing. Singing over it and playing a little bit. I think I put some strings on there, and not real strings. I didn't grab the cello out.
A ball of string.
Yeah, a ball of string. So yeah, and that just sat on my hard drive for the last 8 years. And then when we got this project going, this podcast project going again, I played it to you and said, look, let's finish this off. And so last week we did. And you wrote an extra bit for it. You wrote the sort of chorus section. And we re-recorded it, and I love it. I think it's great. It's very, very different because it was something you wrote on the piano, and I was writing to a piano piece, which I don't normally do. It just came out very differently. It was in a minor key. It was kind of, and I think which made me write a slightly more reflective, sadder kind of lyric, which I wouldn't normally do.
The music is sort of melancholic.
Yeah,
melons really is.
And colic.
Well, it's got this minor thing and this seventh thing in the middle that makes it sound almost Eastern European in lots of ways. But anyway, yeah. And
it was the idea. The lyric I wrote was about looking at a relationship. You know, we all know these people, right? We've all seen a relationship where we know it's doomed to failure. You kind of see someone going out with someone they really shouldn't be going out with, and you kind of, don't go out with him. He's toxic. He's whatever. And it's and it was from that point of view and experience, so looking at this couple and saying to the girl in this case, the woman in this case, saying, listen, this is not going to end well. So the idea was, now reflecting back on that relationship, and said, before you fell, did you know that? Could you see it? Could you see that was going to go wrong? Because everyone else could, but no one could tell you because you were so much in love, and you can never be told, can you?
You are great with words. I mean, all joking aside,
I didn't know whether that was going to be sarcastic.
No, not at all.
Where are you going with this, Tim?
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
The way that
carry on then.
The way that you use metaphor and the way that you just skirt around the issue in a beautiful sort of pastoral way. It's always really impressed me.
Thank you very much, Tim.
Really good. And you've done it.
Glad I came today.
You've done it on this as well. It's really lovely.
So that's the song. Thank you. That's very kind. I'm going to use that bit in the trailer, repeated over and over. So yeah, so we're pleased with this one. It's and you'll hear it at the end. It's called Before You Fell. But I think for me it was really interesting writing on a different instrument, hearing a different instrument. I don't know you get that when you because you obviously you do play lots of instruments. You're a multi-instrumentalist, which is another way of saying you play lots of instruments. And for me, I always love switching it up. And if I'm in a sort of place where I'm like, I can't write anything, I'm bored with it, I'll go and sit on a piano, and I don't really play the piano at all, but I can bash out some chords. Like anyone can work out a chord on a piano, really, if you can play a guitar. And just something in the different tonal nature of another instrument just sets you off in a different direction.
I can sometimes get that with drums. I mean, just recently, I was just saying to you before we started recording this, I saw on Facebook some reels that have been put up there by the session drummer Ash Sohn. And he works with so many different people. In fact, at the moment, he's working with Snow Patrol from Northern Ireland. But anyway, he's just such a fantastic drummer in all different styles. You know, obviously, as a great session drummer, you've got to be quite versatile. And he's amazing. And I just saw him on Facebook Reels putting a few things up there, just little patterns. And I was inspired, so I just recorded those into Logic and started writing things over the top of them, which is great. You know?
Yeah, it's funny what can set you up. And I think that I can sit and play. You know, you have go-to things when you're a songwriter, and you pick up a guitar and you find your fingers go to the same place. You just go to those same chords, and it's like so annoying because as soon as you do that, the same kind of melody comes out, the same tonal ideas come out. But if you go to a different instrument, you know, I've got a little mandolin at home, and even just picking up a mandolin and playing the same chord as I might play on a guitar, you play a G on a mandolin, but the fact that it sounds so tonally different sets you off on a different route completely. You go off, you get in a different groove, and you come up with some completely, like the stuff you were playing me just before that you'd done to those beats, you know. Stuff that I would never hear you write, and it just sets you off. It just creates, I think it just jumpstarts you in a different way. Rather than just going down those same old routes and same old patterns, which is so frustrating as a songwriter. You do it time and time again. So yeah, that came out, the whole session came out, that writing a James Bond theme tune. So we are going to, so Better Day, the song that came from that, we will feature in a future podcast. We definitely want to finish that off and polish that up a little bit and present it to you and see what you think. And it might be fun at that time to also talk about James Bond theme tunes, because so many great, different, varied James Bond theme tunes over the decades, kind of say which ones we loved the most, which ones we dislike. So if anyone's got any particular favourites that are listening to this and want to write in messages on Facebook or messages on the Spotify app or however you want to get in touch with us.
Thanks for all the messages anyway.
It's brilliant. Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, if you want to let us know what your favourite James Bond theme tune is and why, but you got to say why. Don't just say it's Sheena Easton singing For Your Eyes Only, which of course is the best. Goes without saying.
You spoiled it now. I was going to bring that one up.
Let's just take that off the table, because that just can't. That's the winner. That's gold.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so nothing's ever going to beat that. So it has to be any of the other ones, and we'll talk about that in a future one. So probably very soon. So yeah, that's that. And you wanted to talk about gigs, particularly because you at the moment you're doing quite a lot of gigs, and you're playing various places around around Cumbria and the Lakes and stuff, solo, but with some backing tracks. You're playing some of the stuff you're recording here, and you want to talk a little bit about that.
Well, what I want to do is to discuss how gigs have changed and how gigs have changed for everybody. So there are three main stakeholders when it comes to gigs. Obviously, the people that own the establishment, whether it's a pub, restaurant, club, whatever it might be, the act themselves, and also the audience members. And I think it's good to analyse how it's changed over the years, and also discuss what it is that people want from the gigs. Because I'm in the process at the moment of changing what I do. But let's just talk about what it used to be. I mean, even when we were in Boat Thief, we used to play little pubs, places like the John o' Gaunt in Lancaster, and so many others, just lots of little pubs. And even when we started playing in London, we would sometimes play in pubs, which is all right. The Weavers in Stoke Newington, which I mistakenly called the Wheat Sheaf, I think it was, in an earlier episode.
How dare you?
I know, stupid idiot.
Can we go back and re-edit that?
Idiot. So yeah, the Weavers in Stoke Newington, which was fantastic. Anyway, pubs. So back in those days, it was quite normal to go into a pub and to see an act, even if it was a single act or a duo or a trio or whatever, or even a band who were doing their own stuff, and that was fairly normal because it was the first rung on the ladder, on the gig ladder. we've talked about gigs before, about the sort of the journey. You'd start by playing at some party or something, then somebody would say, oh, you should play in public, so you'd play at the pub, then you'd play at smaller venues, and before you know it, you're touring and whatever else. I do believe that pubs and little places used to be the first rung on the ladder that is no longer there. So I sort of think that these days, if you're a young band or an artist, it's really difficult to play your own songs, your original material, in front of an audience that actually wants to hear it. Mm. So let's go back to the audience part of it. Back in those days, what am I talking about here? Probably anywhere between 1975 right up till about 1995, I would think, or even maybe a little bit later. So you could talk about 20 years or maybe 25 years. That period, it was fairly normal for an audience member to go into a pub or a small venue and see something original and want to see that and want to.
Well, we used to do it all the time. We'd see pubs advertise a band that we hadn't heard of.
And they'd see.
Up from Lancaster or from Preston or from London or whatever. And you would just go, we're going out. And you'd phone each other, should we go and see this band? Mm. You know, the Real McCoy are playing the New Inn. And we'd just go and we'd sit there with a pint and go, this is great. We're hearing new things that we'd never have heard before. Because no one could listen. You'd have to go and buy a record then, obviously. You couldn't just listen to anything online or on Spotify or anything then. Now.
So that's making the assumption that in those days, and I hate to do that because it just makes you sound like some old granddad. So in those days, people would, generally speaking, want to do that. Mm. Your average person would want to go out with a group of friends or whatever and go and see something new. Mm. I'm not sure that's the case now. In fact, I'm pretty sure it isn't the case now.
You don't think people want to go and see original music?
I know that because I play in places myself up here. My son lives in London, and when I go with him to pubs in London, and we're talking about, bijou sort of, little places in London, like, in Muswell Hill or Crouch End or, Highgate, really nice places. And then you go to these great pubs, they'll have somebody in the corner playing covers. Mm. And no one's listening. No one gives a toss.
So why do people have them then? If no one's listening...
It's become fashionable.
Is it just the atmosphere? Is it just creating an atmosphere in the corner?
Yeah, exactly that.
Why? Why?
That's what it's become. So it used to be different because we sorry, I keep jumping in here, and I'm not being rude. I'm just saying these things because
being slightly rude.
I know.
Why break the habit of a lifetime?
I know I'll forget them in a minute. I know I'll forget these things. I absolutely forget them. And we'll finish recording this thing and I'll go, oh, man, that bloody thing I wanted to say. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I do believe that those three stakeholders that we mentioned, the owner of the place, the audience member and the artist, all the criteria has changed. All the criteria has changed. I do believe back in the day, I hate that phrase, but there we go. I do believe that the owners of establishments had some little part of their character that wanted to support us. I think of Steve, who used to be the landlord down at John O'Gaunt, really into music. Really, I think of Jeff Carradus, Billy Thurkle, all these people around that we knew, these landlords, these great blokes, landlords, characters, local characters. And part of the reason they were popular as a landlord was because they would look out for new things and put new things on, and people would come and go to the Sawyer's Arms or the Bowman or the John O'Gaunt or so many other places, all over the place in lots of different towns, where they would be the standard bearer for new things. And, they would be a real sort of, what's the word? Pioneer. These guys were absolute pioneers. And I'm really thankful that they happened to be around when we were in a position where we wanted to play our music in front of people. Yeah. So that was then.
And now, so this came up because you're thinking of.
Well, yeah.
Because in your set, you play a few covers, like 5 or 6, probably over the period of an evening. Yeah. And the rest is original material.
I play 2 hours, and I think I'm fairly common. I'm
You're very common.
That's West Bromwich for you. But yeah, I think it's common for all the people that are in my position. You play a couple of hours. So you play 1 hour, then you have a 15-minute break or something, and then you play another hour. And generally speaking, it's much earlier than it used to be. I mean, I remember we used to go on at 9 or something, didn't we? And we'd play till after 11 or something. These days, because the audience doesn't stick around very long.
Well, they're eating more now. So
they're eating.
No, we never played to people who were eating food. No. And now everything's a gastropub. Everything's serving, some form of steak and ale pie.
So you generally play early. You might go on at 6. I mean, the other night when I played at 6 o'clock till 7. Quarter of an hour.
Well, you've got to be in bed though, haven't you? We are a certain age.
My slippers are by the fire, getting warm. But yeah, so it's definitely changed. That aspect of it, the actual time that you go on, has changed. But what people want as well has changed. And it is so fascinating the way it's changed. It's gone through so many different iterations to get to this point. But now people are. They just want an ambience. They just want an ambience. So that's the audience member. They want something going on. So the owner of the establishment wants to rent you for your couple of hours. So he pays you your money. And if you're providing just music, that's fine. If you're providing music that they know, that goes up a notch. That increases 100-fold the interest level straight away. I can, from my vantage point on a little stage perhaps, looking over the audience. I mean, for example, on Saturday night, this is just an example. I was playing in a place that had maybe 100 people all dotted around in lots of different tables. They were eating and drinking, having a good old time.
Till you came on.
And then when you're playing, they look towards you. They're happy that you're there. I'm always happy that you're there. They look towards you when they hear a song, and if it's one of my songs, they've never heard it, of course. So they're looking at each other as if to say, "Do we know this one? I think we might. Do we know this one? I'm not sure." And then as soon as you do play one that they know, it could be a Crowded House song or something, or Beatles or whatever. Straight away, bing! There's a glimmer of recognition, and I think it increases their level of enjoyment. There's no question about it.
There's no escaping that. People like to hear stuff that's familiar to them, and it makes them, just cheers them up, makes them smile. But it's not what. It's not what we're about,
It's not what we're about as musicians.
No, and that's fine. It's horses for courses.
Less than 2% of, this is interesting, less than 2% of people are musicians, okay? Less than 2%.
Is that a fact?
That's a fact.
Define musician.
People who play music and are interested.
Okay, good definition.
People who play. Thanks.
I'm glad we cleared that up.
Yeah, I've just put my dictionary down now. Right. So a musician. And what I mean by that is that means that generally speaking, less than 2% of the people you're playing to are that interested in you and your music. They're just interested in music in general. They're not really.
So are only musicians interested in?
No.
Sorry, what are you saying?
Musicians are interested in what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Right? Okay. How you're playing it.
And if you are, that's another thing. We'll come back to that in a second. But if you're doing your own music, a musician will know that you're doing your own music. I get this all the time. You'll get 1 or 2 people in an audience who will come and see you at half time or something, or you'll even notice them. You'll lock eye contact with them during the set.
They're looking at your fingers rather than your face.
You can see that they're appreciating that you're not doing Sweet Caroline. You know what I mean? They can see that and they respect it. And they're honouring you with their attention, and it's a wonderful thing. It's a really, really warm thing. I love it. I love it. And then the other 98% of people are just happy to have music. They're just happy to have music. And then when you do something that they know, they are delighted to have music. Now, when it comes back to the people who own the establishments, they want people to be deliriously happy all the time. So they'll pay the high prices for the food and the drink and whatever. Everybody's happy. So they want people to be as happy as they can be. So if you're playing songs that they know, they're going to be happier than if you're playing songs that they don't know. I'm not saying they're unhappy, you know, going back to them wanting an ambience and music in that ambience, they're happy that you're doing that. But they would be much happier if you were playing Sweet Caroline and Beatles tunes all night, or things that people know, or Coldplay or something, you know. The other night, you know, there was a lull. I'd played 3 of my own. There was a lull, a natural lull, and I said, anybody know Coldplay? Straight away.
And the crowd went wild.
They went nuts. I mean, they were jumping up, high-fiving each other. Yeah. There were champagne corks popping. You know, I was like, guys, calm down, please.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the way it goes. People want what they know. And this wanting... I'm sorry, I'm doing so much bloody talking here. But it started a few years ago when tribute acts began. And you think about what a tribute act is and why it would be popular at all. It's because people want what they know. It's that simple. It's why there's McDonald's on every street corner, you know, and a Burger King and a Starbucks and a this and a that. They want what they know. This homogeny...
Good word.
Thank you.
Put the dictionary back again.
Put it back in the drawer.
Using that thesaurus, aren't you?
Yeah, thesaurus. But yeah, that homogeny and that sort of that familiarity is what commercial organisations love. They want to give you what you want. So a landlord wants to give you what you want, and the audience, 98% of the audience wants what they want. Now, the artist, what does the artist want? Well, a certain type of artist will be a professional artist who wants to give them what they want. So they will give them a couple of hours worth of Coldplay and Travis and whatever, you know, things that they want. I'm having a crisis at the minute because I don't know what this says about me, but
I'll let you know.
You tell me.
I'll tell you what it says about you. Because so far I've not understood a word you've been saying. So.
But I only want to do my own stuff. I only want,
yeah.
In fact, when I started doing these gigs in January, and there's been lots of them so far, it's wonderful. I absolutely love doing them. I only had my own stuff. I didn't have any covers, and I thought, well, I'd better, you know, do a few covers for the ladies, you know. And I thought I can probably sit there for a couple of hours and just easily play just my own stuff. And who the hell is going to be interested in that? So I'd better put some covers in. I've got to a point now where, as you say, there must be maybe 6, 8, 10 of them, I don't know, out of 2 hours. And it's getting to... And I said to my wife last night, what do I do? Do I just get to a point where I don't do any of my own? I just do my own, you know, just do covers, because that's surely that's what the audience member wants.
You'd do better, you'd get more gigs,
exactly,
and you could get more money, which is horrible. The whole thing of that is just outrageous. But you know, because we're mardy musicians and we think that's not right.
What I don't want to do is to insult the people or criticise the people that do that.
Oh no, it's great. It's a service. No, it's service. Yeah. But I always think that music has people have a different perspective of music when it comes to covers and original material. It's like saying to an artist, stop painting your own paintings and copy some other. Do a Van Gogh occasionally, then throw in a Monet, you know, and copy exactly. Do exact copies or near as you can, exact copies, and try selling those. It's like no artist would do that unless you are genuinely employed to be a forger, you know, and you were good at it. And fair play if you can do that. But no other art form does that. No. You know, but musicians are expected to go, oh, can you play songs by other popular people other than yourself? And it's a strange thing. I mean, like you say, great. If people want to do that, fantastic. And we've done that. We had a time where we decided for money, we'd play a summer's worth of gigs, just you and I, playing all our favourite, but we chose them very carefully. It was only the stuff we loved. Mm-hmm. So we were playing Aztec Camera songs. We were playing, you know, Delamitri songs and, some Beatles stuff and stuff we loved. And it was almost like, these are our favourite songs. We're going to play them for you. And we earned a load of money during summer to pay for our summer holidays.
That's exactly
our respective summer holidays, which is all we did it for. So we were being completely, you know, money orientated for it. But we got through it. We wouldn't ever have done it because neither of us want to do that. The whole point, I think, of being a songwriter, the whole point of being a songwriter is to write songs, and I could never play other people's songs. I was really bad at it as well. I can't learn stuff unless I've come up with it. It was really, I just don't like it. I mean, it's unlike, and I love the fact people do it. Yeah, that's great. You know,
I do.
I was at you know the same place. We were just talking about being in Edinburgh last week, and you know Edinburgh really well, and I know Edinburgh well, and we played in Edinburgh, and I was with my wife celebrating our wedding anniversary, and we went to a jazz bar. You know it. It's called The Jazz Bar on Chambers Street. Yeah. And we went to a night and it was all Miles Davis covers. And it was a sensational night. And they played all these fabulous Miles Davis tunes, just 4-piece band, 2 guitarists, drummer, a bass player, and it was astonishing. Just great night, and I'm glad they played Miles Davis because they did it well, and it was a brilliantly entertaining night. But I couldn't do that. If I got up there and put a guitar on, I'd have to say, "Look, I want to talk to you in my language, what I do," and that's what you're getting to. You're getting to the point where you're doing that.
That's a good way of putting it in your language. Yeah, absolutely.
So you're getting to a stage where you want to just do that.
So I said to my wife Thea last night. I just said, do I just go for it and just only do covers, and then I can do 3 times as many gigs, and people will enjoy it more. She said,
but you wouldn't.
No, she said, absolutely not. She said, that's not what we're doing. She's a ceramicist, and she loves what she does. She also teaches as well, but she loves what she does more than the teaching, obviously. But it's all revenue streams and stuff, and I'm thinking, it's an awful commercial sort of terminology, but ways to bring money in. And she said, I suggest you forget all about this because this is ridiculous. She said, do not even think. She said, why don't you just cut all the bloody covers out anyway? What's the point in that? You're not there to...
You're not there to entertain anyone.
She said, that's not the premium criteria.
Yeah.
She said, that's not the first, that's not the reason that you're doing it. But I have to say, it's become that. And I do feel like it is. And I need to get away from it because I don't...
Yeah, stop it. Stop it, enjoy it, and you need to enjoy it. And if it's stopping you enjoying it because you're just like, oh, here I am, just ticking a box, then that's not.
Just go back to this jazz club thing you said. So the other night you're in this jazz club in Chambers Street in Edinburgh. If you'd gone down there and they were just playing jazz that you'd never heard, it wouldn't have been a single bit. And you would have enjoyed every single.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if there were good tunes, if it was good jazz, then absolutely. Yeah. But it was I didn't recognise most of them. Well, I recognised a couple of them, the classic sort of Miles Davis tunes, but most of them, like you say, I would not have known the difference. But my point was, they were playing Miles Davis. They knew they were copying Miles Davis. Copying is probably not the right word when it comes to jazz. They're interpreting it. But then you interpret them as well. They're not exact covers.
The point I was going to make was it's part of an evening. The thing about music, unlike art or any other kind of art, actually, it could be ceramics or sculpture or anything. Music it enhances something else. It usually is for something else. So or at least it can be attached to something else and increase its enjoyability. Whether if you're in an art gallery and there's music on, you know what I mean, or music as part of something else, can just sometimes be its own standalone thing, but quite often it enhances something else. So if you're out with friends in a pub, for example, and there's an artist playing in the corner of the room, like I usually am, in the corner, sitting on my stool, playing my guitar to people, it wouldn't matter if I was playing Travis or if I was playing a Tim Riley song. It wouldn't matter, as far as I'm concerned. But I think it does. Because of the way that people's wants these days, people's requirements tend to be, they want to hear things that they know. Or
that's never changed, though. That's people have always enjoyed listening to a covers band, haven't they? I mean, I think the reason why places are putting music on has changed. I think the hospitality industry is struggling more than it ever did.
Yeah.
And like we were talking before, that every pub now has a specific night on, 7 nights of the week, be quiz night, Taco Tuesday, Wings Wednesday, and the live music on a Friday, whatever. And they've got to get people in now because people are not spending money out. It's so expensive. Drink is so expensive, food is so expensive. You've got to have a reason, give people a destination, a reason for coming down to a pub and staying there for at least more than a couple of hours. And live music does that. Whereas we were playing, I don't think people were putting live music on almost altruistically, saying, we want to put, like you were saying, these guys that used to put us on, they put us on because it was like, it seemed good. It was a good thing to do, not to get, people were in the pub anyway. The pubs were packed. in Kendal, we used to have something like 40 pubs, and now there are probably 8 that people go to. It's ridiculous. They've all closed down, most of them, which is incredibly sad. But it's
all this shit music that people are playing.
Yeah, there was some act on recently. Some guy in the corner on a stool, and he was playing. some.
There's some droney crap that nobody could quite identify.
Played a couple of good covers though, and everyone cheered up.
What is that, Julie? Is that one of his, Julie? I don't know. I just don't know.
Oh, I like this one. I know this one. I can tap my foot to this. It's the reasons for it all changed, I think, and but you're having a little bit of an existential crisis with it all.
Yeah, I just want to. I'm an artist, Damian.
Yeah,
I just want to play my own art.
I just want to sing.
Yeah.
Enough of that.
And also, when you play a cover, I mean, here we go, this rant, and another thing. When you play,
back in the day again.
No, that was just stupid. When you play a cover, you're automatically going to be compared to with the original straight away. You play Coldplay tune, and they're thinking, he's not quite Chris Martin, is he, Julie? So there's all that. I'm not saying I wouldn't do covers because I just want to take away that, because I don't care. I'm making a fool of myself all my life. It's absolutely fine. That's another reason why I just don't want to do covers. And I just want to do my own stuff because I like my own stuff. I can do my own stuff better than I can a Beatles tune.
Yeah, well, that's it. You're always going to be able to do your own stuff, and it comes from a different place. It comes from your heart. You've written it, you put blood, sweat, and tears into it, and you're going to present it differently. But it's just whether anyone else is that interested. I mean, we had this all the time. We both do. You'd be playing places, or the Temple Men, or any other band we've been in. You go and play places, and you go, well, this is completely down to whether people like that kind of music. And
what did Pete used to do when we used to play John and Gaunt, and people used to just talk at the back? He just used to stop and just say, "Can you just shut up?"
Yeah, do you mind? You might give me some respect.
But do you remember that one time we'd had a particularly volatile evening through that kind of thing at the John and Gaunt, actually. It was in the early days. And we were just packing all the stuff away, and somebody came and gave him a note. And on the note, it just said, "You may not think people were listening, but we were listening. We were really enjoying it."
I do remember that.
And it just said, "Please, in the future, just assume that there are people listening.
Yeah, don't have a go at the audience. We are there."
And so he stuck it on in the microphone box
to remind
him and to remind us.
Brilliant! I was in Lancaster a few weeks ago. I went to a conference in Lancaster, and I was a bit early, and I walked past the John O'Gaunt, and it was closed. It was closed. The door was closed, but I could, and it's this beautiful bay window, and I managed to kind of hitch myself up and have a look through the window, just to remind myself of the little stage area, because it was a proper little stage area, and there was all this gear there, all ready to be unpacked. There was drum kit in its cases and everything. Already I thought, someone's playing tonight. I had this pang. I just saw it all, and it was like, it's like the smell of the sawdust and the grease paint, and it was all that. It was kind of all that sort of memorabilia of what it was like, that sort of very tangible sense of being able to play a gig. It was great.
Going back to original acts in pubs, whenever Thea and I are away, we look for original music. Well, we look for music. I remember we were in Newcastle one time, not that long ago, maybe 8-9 years ago, and we were walking around Newcastle looking for some music, and we couldn't find anywhere at all. Anyway, yes, there were DJs. Yes, there was karaoke in some places. I don't even think there's karaoke these days, is there? Anyway,
yeah, karaoke is quite popular. Yeah, certain the karaoke nights.
And then we were directed down. In fact, no, I think it was a place that she used to go to when she was a student, and we went down to this place, little jazz thing, just a little jazz trio playing, and it was fantastic.
It's all you can always rely on a bit of jazz somewhere.
But it was original. It sounded to me like it was original, and they were just improvising in places as well, but it was wonderful. And I'm thinking to myself, we could have been unlucky enough to have a covers band or something, or Now, covers band, I don't want to be, critical of that, because there are places where you actually want to have a great band playing great covers, a wedding or something.
I would go on an event,
But it's we do look for music everywhere, and there's less of it, less good music, less original music. And when you come across an original anything, I mean, we were in York as well a couple of years ago, And we'd been to lots of pubs, and we found this one, but there was just this young girl, and she must have been 18, 19 or something, acoustic guitar, and she was just playing there, obviously her own stuff. And it was just, she was getting no response from anybody, because nobody was even listening to her. But she was brave and great, because of it. And you just, it's character building stuff.
She was learning her craft,
yeah,
Tim.
It's character building stuff, isn't it? It's really good.
So closing this section off, because we're probably going on about, but you mentioned, this is really trivial, but you mentioned tribute bands before, and I thought at some point, I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated by what tribute bands call themselves when they're obviously trying to ape a particular band. The whole oeuvre is based on a band. Like there's like you mentioned Coldplay. There's probably loads of Coldplay covers bands. You're like, what would Coldplay call them? A Coldplay covers band call themselves? And I always remember the best. And people can write in with this if they've got great suggestions. Right, and if you've seen a great tribute band and they've got a brilliant name, a humorous, self-deprecating, fantastic name, and there was a Liverpool-based Bon Jovi band, and do you know what they were called? Can you remember? Do you know?
I do remember what they were called. Yeah, but I want you to say it.
They were called By Jovi. Which is just Scouse genius, absolutely. If you know
Ken Dodd,
your Ken Dodd, yes, people of a certain age, but to call themselves By Jovi and be going around Liverpudlian pubs playing like
there's some great ones. I mean, Nearly Dan,
great,
Nearly Dan,
that's great. But yeah, there's so many funny ones. So please, send us your suggestions. We're sounding like those kind of regional DJs that must be driving to work thinking, I've got to do a phone in today. What can I ask people? What can I do?
The Alan Partridge thing, is it? Yeah. What's the best thing?
Yeah. What's your favourite monger? Is it fishmonger, ironmonger, or warmonger? What's your favourite milk-based pudding?
Oh dear.
Is it blancmange or?
Anyway, let's not sound like.
So let's not sound like when they say, "What's today's phone in going to be about?" But anyway, so James Bond theme tunes and cover and tribute bands.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so just talking about gigs. Let's finish off this thing about gigs then, and just talk about the best gigs that we've actually seen,
ever experienced,
and ever experienced. Not obviously not our own or anything, but when we go and see other bands.
Oh God, that's really hard. I mean, that's why we don't plan these things. We just switch the microphone on and start talking. So I feel like we should have probably thought about that in advance, but I don't know. I think
there's that many, and for different reasons. There's that many.
I think often the best ones are the little ones. I mean, the worst gig I ever went to, we were bought tickets by family to go and see the Police in when they reformed, not in the original time, and we saw them at Twickenham, which is in itself one of the most horrible venues. It's like a great big concrete toilet.
Well, it's good for rugby.
And it's good for rugby. But I mean, then I don't think it's good for rugby. It's an awful place to sit and be. And just grey monstrosity, sort of brutalist thing. And that was the worst gig because we were miles away and it sounded dreadful and it was an awful experience. In that moment, I was like, this isn't how you see music. This is not how music can be appreciated.
But saying that, lots of people these days, that's how they like to experience their music.
I know, and I would not. Someone offered me tickets to see Coldplay, again, a family member, not too long ago, literally a few years ago, and I went, I'm all right, thanks. And it was free. I could have gone to see Coldplay for free, and I'd like, I don't hate Coldplay or anything, but I don't want to be in that environment listening to music. That would not be listening to music. I want to be in the jazz bar in Edinburgh or somewhere. I know people are listening going, "Oh, you're so pretentious," but it's just I want to be able to be up close. Thanks. I want to be up close to it, and I've seen some. I saw Damian Rice was a really good one at Manchester University, and it was just a small room. That was great. He was just playing a guitar and he had a cellist, and that was it. And he was great. I don't know. Saw the Clash back in the day. They were great. Manchester Apollo. I don't know. Loads of great. What about you?
Quite often they're things that bands that have never made it really.
Yeah.
I think I've said to you, one was at the Sawyer's Arms years ago, the English McCoy, a band from Preston. There's a band called Field Music, who we've mentioned before. Yeah. They're from Sunderland, and they played at the brewery, just at the Brewery Arts Centre in Kendal, just before lockdown. I think they were the last band that I saw before lockdown. That was great. I saw a band in Edinburgh with my mate, Ken, We happened to, it was near Deacon Brodie's Tavern. It was around the corner from there.
Deacon Brodie's Tavern?
Deacon Brodie's Tavern. And it was a band called the Shrimptons, and they were just a little three-piece from Edinburgh, I think, playing in this cellar. And once again, they didn't know how good they were. You know, they just didn't know how good they were. And there's another thing as well. I was lucky enough to be working in Stockholm one time, and the Swedish guys that were there took us to this place. When we went in there, they didn't know there was going to be any music in this place. When we went there, it was quite a large place. It was like a gallery. Almost like a gallery, and in the centre of this was a little podium, and there were these four beautiful blonde ladies, very cliched thinking about this Swedish thing, beautiful blonde ladies in flowing white dresses, and two of them were singing and two of them were playing a couple of stringed instruments, but perhaps a cello and violin, and they were all singing, and they were. It was one of these things. It's a bit like when you listen to early Radiohead or Björk or something, and you're thinking, is that what is that? What is that? And it was one of those genreless things. I was just completely, taken away to a different place. And it was amazing to me. It's amazing. I love it when you hear something that's genreless, because I'm so influenced by everything. Everything I hear, I just want to write something that's like that. So and obviously genre comes from that, and it comes from everybody wanting to be a kind of thing, and it becomes a genre. Whereas when you hear a band that hasn't got any of that, and you're like we've talked about Prefab Sprout, that there is absolutely no genre that you can put you can say that Prefab Sprout is. They don't fit in there, and it's the same with field music, and the same with lots of other. Anyway, so these. I like it when you're surprised by things and you're thinking, what is that? You start questioning, what is that? That is fabulous. I wish I could be that genreless, but you just can't. I can't. I just end up sliding down the pastiche ladder pole, the greasy pole of pastiche.
The pastiche pole.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, sadly. But yeah, I've been to some great. I mean, that one we've spoken about before, where we saw the Lars supporting.
The Icicle Works,
in the 80s Liverpool.
Yeah. We the other great one, I think, was seeing Justin Curry, who was the singer with Delamitri. Saw him in a very small. Well, that was the Brewery Arts Centre again. Probably like 200 people sat down in close proximity to him, and he just played whatever. And he would say, like, "What do you want me to play?" And we were shouting out, "Sleep Instead of Teardrops."
Well, when he played
which is a great B-side that we love, one of his great songs. And he went, "All right," and he sat down at the piano and played it for us.
Just. As we're talking about it now, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it, because to be sat in the same room as the guy that wrote that song and he's singing the song to us, I'm getting quite overwhelmed just thinking about it.
Yeah, that was great.
It was just
we were there. I was there, and my wife Jules was there, and she remembers that. It was great. She loves that song, and that was great. But so many great. Yeah, we could do this again and just quote different ones.
Well, that song. Okay, so it's such a beautiful piece of music. That was on the B side. Of "Don't Come Home Too Soon."
Thrown away. Yeah, which in itself was a dreadful song.
The Scottish World Cup anthem that basically starts off by the whole thing is just. Lads,
we're not going to do very well. So just drink lots of whiskey.
Yeah, drink lots of whiskey. Have a good old time, and just don't come home too soon. And I think the Scottish FA hated it, but nobody else had done anything.
And it was the B side of that, just thrown away on that,
which was an absolutely incredible piece of music.
Yeah, if no one knows that song, "Sleep Instead of Teardrops" by Delamitri. Check it out on wherever you listen to your music.
Yeah. Okay. Now we really are.
So we're pretty much there. So I hope you've listened to us ramble. Enjoyed listening to us ramble on about various subjects. But right now you get the treat of listening to one of our. Well, this is a pretty new song, as in it was sort of part of it's 8 years old, but there's some new bits in there that was just 2 weeks old. We recorded this. Just the other week. And this is called "Before You Fell." Enjoy.
You hoped for when you looked in his eye? Is it all that you you dreamed of? Or was it all a surprise? For you fell for miles and miles. Did a string section strike up a romantic tune? Or just one mournful cello as a forecasted gloom? For you fell for miles and miles. I couldn't catch you because you're not mine to catch. I just had to watch this calamitous match. While he lived in lush, you felt so sad. He was the fool, but you were the one to fall. Was the chemistry toxic right from the start? And did you not feel its poison in your softening heart? For you fell for miles and miles. Now what do you hope for as the years have all passed? Do your dreams still contain him, or is the closure at last? Since you fell for miles and miles, I couldn't catch you because you're not mine to catch. I just had to watch this calamitous match. While he lived in lush, you felt so sad. He was the fool, but you were the one to fall. Since you fell for miles and miles. Since you fell for miles and
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it. And if you could like and subscribe or even leave a review, that would be just brilliant. Anyway, see you again soon. Bye.